We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they can send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck. No. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck. The man makes you no He can't fucking breathe. The man makes you no We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck. No. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. I, of course, am your hostess with the mostest, the meter. The meter does many things if you're nasty, and I, of course, have a glorious panel here with me, as usual, to break down all the shit-talking and shenanigans, the fight announcements and fuckery, all the information that is relevant in the MMA world you folks need to know about since we saw you fine folks last. Before we get into all that, though, first and foremost, gentlemen, how you doing over there?
One day closer to a weekend, and a week I'm with my kid for spring break.
Hey, there you
Fun.
go. Lots of archery practice.
Lots of golf practice.
That too.
Doing pretty good myself. Glad I get to be here this week and talk about some fights with you boys. Get me another job, so sadly we'll miss the fights like we normally have the good old Zoom watch along, but get to watch them back. It'll be fun to at least get to talk about them, talk a little shit tonight. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, with that being said here, we are going to jump right into things, and we are going to go ahead and kick it off the way that we normally do, with a little bit of news and recent events, fight announcements, fight cancellations, official rumor, confirmations or denials, things of that nature, relevant shit in the MMA world you folks need to know about that has come out of the MMA world since we saw you last. So we do fortunately not have to jump back to last weekend to start the news, but this weekend we actually do start with the card we're coming up to this weekend. Just during the course of the last week, Carlton Harris has pulled out of his fight for this weekend on UFC Seattle, but the UFC did turn around and pull Nico Price up to take on Michael Chiesa in his retirement fight. So it does kind of suck a little bit that Chiesa had been training to fight Carlton Harris, which is a very vastly different style than Nico Price. But again, he still said that, win, lose, or draw, this is going to be his final fight. He's going to retire at home in Seattle, which he has absolutely earned the fucking right to do. So hopefully we still get a good matchup between him and Nico Price, but it's going to be bittersweet to see Chiesa take his last walk for sure. That being said, over on the other side of things, in the house of PFL, we got the main event announcement for the event coming up in Chicago in 2 weeks on April 11th. It will now officially be headlined by Sergio Pettis versus Mitch McKee. Sergio has had a rough go of things over the last couple years. I'm not sure if we're seeing him kind of plateau off and start to come back down, or if he just really had some unfavorable matchups for him in his last couple of bouts. But this is going to be that point where we're going to find out either Sergio really is the better of the Pettis brothers, or if he just had a really bright flash when he first popped. Because if he can't turn it around against a prospect like McKee here, it's definitely on the downhill side of things for him. And for a young guy like that, that would be a little rough. But it is the fighting world, so things like that do tend to happen sometimes. That being said, back over on the UFC side of things, June 20th will be another UFC Vegas Apex card, and it just got the main event announced this week, which was extremely funny for several different reasons. Manel Kopp will be taking on Kyoji Horiguchi in a rematch, I believe 9 years or 8 years in the making, to headline that card. But the extra bittersweet thing about this is that Manel Kopp announced that he had already started cutting weight, anticipating that he was just going to get the next title fight. And then turns out he's getting the rematch against Horiguchi, and he was never actually in the title contention, but he decided he wanted to start cutting weight ahead of time anyway. So Manel Kopp is going to Manel Kopp, but he's going to have to do it against Horiguchi this time. And I'm not mad at that rematch either, because despite all the shit that Manel Kopp has talked, if Kyoji Horiguchi shows back up in the UFC and handles Manel Kopp, he might actually get put into the conversation for the title fairly quickly here. And there are not many people that I can think of that would actually be mad about that one. So we'll see how that one plays out. It sucks a little bit that it's going to be an Apex card, but again, it's the main event, and if Kyoji Horiguchi shows up the way that he has been since he's been back, he could do a lot of real good work there and get himself right back up to the fucking top. So we'll see how that one plays out. Finally, some fucking good news here. After 2 fucking surgeries on his eyeball, Tom Aspinall is officially back in the gym and cleared for light training, anticipating a return to fighting sometime later in the fall or early 2027. So it took 2 surgeries, but the second surgery seems to have gotten everything cleared up. His vision is back. He's back to light training again. He's hitting pads and shit. So everything seems to be on the up and up. We might be getting Aspinall back. At this point, it looks like it's going to be Aspinall versus the winner of Pereira versus Gane, depending on how that fight plays out. Probably later in the fall, potentially the end of the year with the UFC. So it's not the way that anybody wanted to necessarily get there, but it looks like we are at least making forward progress again in the heavyweight division of the UFC, and that's definitely a good thing. On the other side of that coin, though, not necessarily a good thing. Last weekend, there was a 19-year-old boxer by the name of Isis Seo, who was in, for some reason, her second match this year, despite getting a first-round knockout loss at the end of January. Last weekend, she got in another fight with, to be fair, another girl of about similar rankings, both young professionals, but she got knocked out brutally in the first round again, and then started having convulsions on the canvas before they were able to get her to the hospital, where she was put in a medically induced coma for 3 days because of the amount of swelling on her brain. It is not all bad news, though. She has officially been removed from the medically induced coma. She is awake and she is talking. As of this afternoon, it looks like she is going to make a recovery. As of right now, it does not look like any long-term damage, but that's one of those scary situations that could absolutely happen in any combat sport, especially, we talk about this all the fucking time, fighters trying to rush back after an injury or a knockout loss. This young lady just got knocked out at the end of January, and then in the beginning of March, they booked her for another fucking fight. That's irresponsible on the fucking promotion side, in my opinion. She just got knocked out. In football, if you get knocked out, you have to go through concussion protocol and you have to get cleared to come back. If you get knocked out in a fight, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't matter what organization you're in the, mixed martial arts world. If you get a knockout loss, you generally are not going to even be offered another fight for at least a couple of months, as you shouldn't be, so your fucking brain can heal from the concussion that you just took. How they got cleared to begin with when this young lady had a knockout first round loss at the end of January to fight again in the beginning of March definitely needs to be looked into by the athletic commission as well, but that is 100% definitely on the promotion, in my opinion. So we are glad to
I'm
hear
pretty
she
sure
is
that
awake
also
and she's
needs to
better.
be looked into. The athletic commission that fucking said okay to that also needs to
Right,
be looked
that
into,
sanctioned
because
the match. Yeah.
that's something fucked up.
Yeah, literally 6 weeks after a fucking first round knockout, out cold, not a TKO, a fucking first round knockout loss, you should not be sanctioned by any athletic commission to take another fucking professional fight 6 weeks later. I don't give a fuck what division you are. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. That's irresponsible on the promotion and the athletic commissions for sanctioning that. Good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Fuck everyone involved in letting that fight happen. Luckily, the worst didn't come out this time, and she is out of her coma. She is awake and she is starting to recover. So hopefully other promoters see this shit and fucking learn from it, because I get tired of talking about stories like that when they could have been avoided by just the littlest bit of fucking professionalism in the professional fighting world. Speaking of looking for a little fucking professionalism in the fighting world, gentleman coming through the Dana White Contender Series by the name of Levi Rodriguez has officially had his Contender Series win overturned to a no contest and been handed down a 9-month suspension for testing positive for androgenous steroids. There was no claim of tainted supplements. The 9 months was accepted. He will be eligible again to fight at the end of July, beginning of August. So they're just kind of saying, yep, oops, you caught us. We'll take the slap on the wrist and then we'll be back clean, I say with air quotes, at the end of July. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. In kind of typical UFC fashion at this point, we've gotten, at least in 2026 so far, if not every weekend, basically every other weekend after we have a UFC event, they are releasing fighters from the roster. And we got 2 more this week who have been released after both of their losses from last weekend. Montse Radon and then Luan Lacerda have both officially been released from their contracts after both catching L's last weekend. Radon was 2-1 before her loss. Lacerda was 1-3 before her loss. So both of them could be understandably cut. But in a division that thin, especially after a loss to someone like Bea Mosquito, who's just getting into actual professional fighting, you would think they would be a little more understanding, but UFC is going to UFC. So on the road they go. Interestingly, though, over on the other side of the world, speaking of on the road they go, One Championship has officially released from their contract their champion Zhang Jingnan because they eliminated their entire women's strawweight division, which is a little weird because they still have a flyweight division and they still have an atomweight division. Their strawweight division was arguably much, much deeper of a roster than the UFC or PFL's rosters, and they've decided to eliminate just that one weight class altogether. no official reason as to why that class was eliminated just yet from ONE FC, but I'm anticipating we're going to get some kind of an announcement from Chatri as to what the fuck is going on over on that side of the world. But this is absolutely one of those potential indicators we've been talking about for a while now. There are rumors swirling in the combat sports world about ONE Championship being broke and literally hanging on by a financial fucking thread as Chatri continues to throw $50,000 bonuses around like he's the Asian Oprah. This arguably could be the division for ONE Championship that had the highest paying contracts in it, because I'm telling you right now, ONE Championship strawweight division was fucking lethal. And I bet a lot of those ladies were making real good fucking money. So there is a genuine chance that they might have had to eliminate just this one division in the middle to financially keep themselves afloat for a little bit longer as they try and figure out what the fuck is happening. I don't know if you've noticed lately, but there's been less and less ONE Championship cards going on over the course of 2026 so far. And this weekend, we get the first time where they're having one on a Saturday morning instead of a Friday morning. They've changed the days. They've changed the amount of fights that are on the card. They are still in Lupinmi Boxing Stadium this weekend, but who knows how long even that is going to last if things really are as dire over there as they're starting to seem like they might be. There have been a lot of ONE Championship fighters coming to the UFC and coming to PFL lately. Now they've eliminated one of their arguably biggest and most attention-getting divisions as a whole. It's not looking terribly good for ONE Championship. And I say it all the time. I don't want any of these fucking organizations to go under. I'm still upset that Bellator legitimately got taken over and taken out, because even as odd as it was, just having that other organization and that other place for fighters to go, either to or from the other organizations, made it better for all fighters as a whole. As we start to lose organizations and we funnel down into fewer and fewer legitimate MMA organizations, we're going to end up in a situation potentially where the UFC does become like the NFL or the MLB of combat sports, and no one other than Dana White or UFC employees wants that to be the case. The rising tide lifts all boats. It works the other way around as well. Hopefully, ONE Championship isn't actually in as much deep shit as they seem to be, but it is not looking good. So we will absolutely keep an eye on that as things play out over there as well. Last one I've got here is not necessarily a happy one, but again, I don't always bring you guys the news that I want to be happy about. I bring you the news that you need to know about. We got official word this afternoon that Orlando Weight fighter from UFC 2, who had 2 matches in one night when the UFC still did shit like that, has unfortunately passed away at 60 years old. Orlando Weight was a kickboxer with a record of 139-21, despite only having 6 fights in the UFC and going 2-4 as an MMA pro. He clearly was a combat sports veteran, and MMA just wasn't his particular cup of tea. But he is literally one of those founding pioneers who helped us get to the point that we are today with his participation and ass whipping in UFC 2. And it is unfortunate to hear that a man passed away that young who was so fucking influential. So, like I said, it's not always the happiest news, but this is absolutely something that needs to be talked about, because if it were not for people like Orlando Weight, we wouldn't be here to do what we are doing right now. So obviously our thoughts go out to his family and friends who were impacted by this, but that is what I have got for news this week. Either of you gentlemen might have anything that I might have missed.
Nope. 'Cause I haven't been doing the social media things lately or watching any news, 'cause I've been worried about getting bikes for kids,
I was
which,
gonna say, you've been doing bike things, so
to be fair, that has gone swimmingly.
that's what we like to hear. And for the record, for anyone who's confused about why we just took that little side tangent, every year for some years now, we do a fundraiser in March, April-ish, literally to raise money to get bikes for kids for Easter. We did such a thing a couple weeks ago. Whether you're watching this or listening to this, the link is down in the description to that stream. Go click on that stream. If you've got a spare $1, if you've got a spare $5, I don't care what it is. I would rather you give your money to that than to subscribe to our Patreon. If you've got enough for both, by all means, do both. But first and foremost, take your fucking dollars and go click on that link because the kids deserve to get theirs first. God damn it.
Well, for those of you who are listening to the replay tomorrow or maybe this weekend at the latest, that's when I'm cutting it off because I have to have the bikes out of my house and delivered by Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, we are on the crunch time, but if you are catching this on the replay or catching us live, you still have a couple days. And if you got a couple dollars, please throw those in. We would greatly appreciate it. And so would the kids.
Or mark your calendars for next year.
I was going to say, and if you can't, we'll be back next year. We do this every goddamn year. So get your calendars ready ahead of time. All right. Well, that being said, that'll bring us to the point where if you've been watching combat sports as long as some of us have been watching combat sports, you start to learn what you like to watch, when it comes on, and how to watch it, and you start to develop your habits, and inevitably you start to develop your blinders for what you like, and you lose the forest for the trees, as it were. Luckily for us here on the show, we've got ourselves a bona fide young person out there diligently and delicately fingering the pulse of the MMA world to help keep us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they are names in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. So this is for the most part similar to a lot of those cards that we get where it's obligations, but it's not as bad as what we're gonna get next weekend. If that's positive, no, we got some fun fucking fights on here, and we got some fun names. Before I get to the real fun shit, throw the obvious stuff out of the way here. Kyle Nelson, he's one of those that's definitely just kind of a kick around guy that's still in the UFC. I mean, he had a little moment there where he was winning some fights, and then he got knocked back down a peg. Um, Literally knocked out by Steve Garcia. So, he even got beat by Matt Frivola, right? Yep. Yeah, so Terrence McKinney's probably gonna have a fun time with that one. One of the fights that I definitely had to throw in the old can this weekend. Oh, who is it? Where are you at on my notes? Oh yeah, Casey O'Neill and Gabriela Fernandez. Trying to remember the first name of Fernandez, so I wasn't just saying Fernandez. I like Casey O'Neill to a point. She's still young too, but she hasn't been in a ton of exciting fights. She lost her first couple before she's been on a little bit of a winning streak. She hasn't fought in a little minute either, though. It was like 2024 in August the last time she fought, beat Luana Santos. So we'll see how that one goes. But as a fucking whole, probably throw that fight in there. You got Chiesa and Carlston Harris. Happy for Michael Chiesa, dude. I like cool. You're retiring. Oh, we
Harris
always
is
love.
out. Nico Price is in.
Oh, okay. So that doesn't change the fact, though. That just makes Michael Chiesa more guaranteed to win in my eyes. But it's still same thing. Not one of the greatest fights that we can look forward to. It is literally just them giving Chiesa softball still, so that he can probably go out on a good note because he is saying this is going to be his last fight. This is going to be his retirement fight. Good on Chiesa for like winning an Ultimate Fighter, going through all that shit whenever he had lost his dad. His story was always amazing. He got in the UFC, he got into some sick fucking fights. In all honesty, he always showed heart, but he never, skyrocketed. He never made anything fully out of the career. He had a lot of injury problems too here in the past handful of years that kind of tailed everything off, and that's probably why he's just calling it quits now. But yeah, as a whole, it's not one of the most interesting fights on the card. You got Alexa Grasso. I gotta be honest, throwing her in the can because of the way she has looked for the past, I would say 2 years plus now. Almost every fight she had against Valentina, she just was not anything special. Wasn't electric. I thought Valentina won every single one of those fights, but I mean, at the end of the day, she did submit Valentina in the first one. That's how she got the win. But Valentina was winning that fight in my eyes up until that point where she sunk in that submission. Good on her, right? You did win the one. Ever since then, it just looked like she doesn't want to be a part of the fight. It's similar to the Myra Buena Silva thing. That girl had some wins there, has a little winning streak. She gets given a gift of a title shot, shits the bed. It's like the moment's way too big for her, and then multiple fights after, you still just seem like you don't want to be in the cage. You don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to fight. So I just had to throw her in there. And then on the fence stuff, I've got Chase. He's still so young. He had another rough moment by taking that loss. I mean, he was doing really good, had a nice little winning streak. But Chase Hooper, he's still turned things around in his career. He has shown us some seriously bright moments. He has had those multiple good rides where he's had winning streaks. He's just had those setbacks. This one was a little easier to understand. He's starting to get better with his striking, and he's starting to like grow those balls a little bit more. He's like, oh, let me fuck around and try to strike, and he got caught in that last fight. Is what it is. It's what fighting is. So I still think he could turn shit around. He is a fun kid to watch. He's always pretty exciting. He's never been in too many boring fights. So got that one on there. Terrence McKinney, it's kind of the same situation. Dude will never really be in the top 15, I don't think, at this point. But he's still a young enough kid that every fight he gets in, he goes out and gives it hell. And he is a get or get got guy. Like he's going to knock somebody out or submit somebody, or he's going to get submitted or get knocked out. And that's just how his fights go. They normally don't last past a round. And he's going to give you an exciting go at it. Like he's going to give us a good moment this weekend, whether he wins, loses. That's just how it always goes with Terrence McKinney. So he kind of can tender on the fence there kind of situation. And Joe Piper is only here because you beat Israel Adesanya. They're putting him in the top 10. We all know this shit. But he's on the fence because I really don't think he couldn't beat Jack Hermanson. Really don't think. And now that they're finally giving him a guy, whether Izzy's older, and a lot of people would think he is done, he is washed. I would be honest, Vinny is one of those people going in this weekend. He does not think Izzy's got a lot of chances, a lot of hopes. But Joe has shown he's the guy that's just going to try to throw a haymaker. He's going to try to throw a bomb. That's really all he's got. He's not a well-rounded mixed martial artist. He's got some knockout power to him, and it's fun to see knockouts. I'm a fan of that shit. But this it definitely feels like that what people have called Dana White privilege over the years. Giving him a main event against Izzy is just like, oh, what the fuck? How did we get here after his last fight? I still don't know that. Even if I have tried to root for the guy, he hasn't shown enough, especially the losing to Jack, and then the getting closer to the top 15, and you're not knocking guys out anymore. You're having some struggles to get the decision victories. We've seen that kind of shit before. We've seen plenty of guys like that. You have some knockouts against cans early on, and then you just kind of fizzle out once you get to the real dudes. And Izzy's not going to fuck around. Like he's been getting knocked out by some of these young guys. He's just going to pick Joe apart from the distance, and is probably going to be situation, maybe even what we had the other weekend with the MVP fight, where you just don't get a lot of action at all. If Joe Piper isn't trying to charge forward and be a dumb, crazy motherfucker, it's not going to be very interesting. And Izzy's going to crack him with a lot of counters, and he's going to beat his ass if he does charge in. But you got to put him on the field. If he does, right, he connects a shot, you get the knockout moment. You could only imagine what Dana White's going to do with the kid after that. Like he's next in line probably after this Strickland and Chimaev fight we're getting, especially if Strickland fucking wins. Oh God, yeah, they're going to do that shit. They'll do Strickland and fucking Piper for sure if he knocks Izzy out. So yeah, you got to fucking put him on the fence here. He's got the biggest opportunity of his motherfucking life here. You see what he can make of it. That's the best way I can put it. I don't think he's going to make much of it because it's Israel Adesanya, and I don't give a fuck if he's old. Izzy's been getting caught. That's been Izzy's only problem. Izzy's not going to go into this fight. Oh, yeah, let me get into a dog fight with you like Kelvin Gastelum. Yeah, let's go, boy. No. And I don't think Piper's going to be able to deal with it. He's not going to be able to handle it. He's not going to be able to grapple his way to victory. I don't think it's going to happen. The good shit, I do think that fight will be interesting. That's one of the contender kind of fights. Like I said, you might get the knockout from Piper. If you do, that'll be a hell of a fucking moment to see. I do think he's just kind of school him, and it'll be more interesting than the MVP Patterson fight we had last week. Izzy's not gonna do what MVP did. He is gonna try to bust the kid up. Like Izzy likes hurting dudes. He does have fun, like just being a little bit of a bully. So I think we'll have some fun there. Tawfiq Masayev, I like that fight. I would really put that fight, but I think Tawfiq, he's an older guy, but because of that name and everything, if he gets the finishes, he could just. That's why they're giving him like Bahamundes, right, on the short notice and all that shit. They're giving him that opportunity, like even though he lost his debut, they're like, hey buddy, here's your other chance. Let's see what you do with it. And Bahamundes is showing he can kind of strike, and the kid's young. He's made some mistakes though, and he's lost some tough fights. So we'll see how that shit goes. I'm excited for it a bit. You got the Abdul Malik and Belagori fight. Yeah. Mansour Abdul Malik has shown us some decent things. He did beat Brundage by decision. That kind of bothered me. Like, I mean, he's had some okay moments, but then you get to that, and Brundage is a true can. He's not like a gatekeeper kind of guy at middleweight, and he had some rough moments. He got the win though. But Belagori, he looked fucking good on the Contender Series. This is a guy with some fun striking ability, some fun knockout power. This is his debut. This is going to be a good little fight between those two. I'm expecting some fireworks. And maybe see the same thing out of the light heavyweights with Navajo Sterling and Bruno Lopez. Now, Navajo is the same kind of thing. He looked great on the Contender Series, had a great finish. He's been winning decisions since he got in the UFC. He's still really young. Looks like he needs to grow a lot. But Lopez has got some knockout power, and I think he's going to force the issue. Navajo's either going to get it put on his ass, or he's going to have to really pull something out of his ass here. It might be a little fun fight. And I could use some heavyweight excitement. We'll see if the Tyrell Fortune kid could do anything. The Larian Douglas kid. We'll see how he can do against what would be a potential gatekeeper kind of guy in Julian Erosa. He's always get or get got. So I mean that could be a fun little one. And then obviously Macy Barber. I threw Grasso in the can. I think Macy's. She might kind of grind it out, get another decision win, but she is at that point. Like, there's not really anybody else at the top other than Aaron Blanchfield. We're kind of at that situation. They need to give those two girls to Valentina while Valentina's still around and see how they go. So that's all I got. We'll see what you boys say, but I'm sure you'll agree with a good bit of it and maybe think some of the other shit's shit, but it'll be one of those cards. We get some fights. Hopefully, some of them fucking surprise us.
To be fair, this isn't the worst fucking card that they've ever thrown together. We've had far worse this year already, by a long shot. I really don't want to say this, but I'm going to put this fight in the trash. Ricky Simon, Adrian Yanez. Unfortunately, Ricky has been on an absolute downward spiral, and Adrian Yanez has not shown anything special in his UFC run to warrant this being anything other than just a throwaway fight. That was one of those ones, hey, we got to offer you guys a fight, go ahead and take it. I'm not going to dignify by talking about either of the two ladies' fights on the undercard, because that's just not worth it. I am on the fence about the Marcin Tybura and Tyrell Fortune fight. That's a Schrodinger's fucking box of there could be some excitement or it is going to be fucking terrible. There is no happy medium with that. Chase Hooper, I have to I have to give him a little bit more lean towards the contender side, namely because he's a Washington born and bred fighter. I'm not a human claw Washington. You kind of got to lean into that a little bit, give those guys a hometown advantage thing. And like I said, he has been working on his striking. It's still subpar. I'll say that. And hopefully he learned from his last mistake. Just because I've been working on my striking doesn't mean I need to use it all the time. Go in there and do what you're fucking good at. Choke the fuck out of Lance Gibson Jr. That's something he's good at. That's all I'm saying. I don't mind the Bahamondes Tafik Messiah fight. It's lightweight. Bahamondes hasn't been absolutely terrible. He hasn't been great though either. He's shown some flashes of brilliance, but just can't seem to string it together in my eyes. Of course, we all love T-Rex, and he's just getting tossed a softball in Kyle Nelson. However, we've seen T-Rex get thrown softballs before, and he shits the bed. I'm hoping that's not the T-Rex that shows up. I don't care about Mansoor or Yorsuri. That fight at middleweight just does not intrigue me at all. It's another one. Hey, boys, we got to offer you a fight. Here we go. Another one that I have to throw in the trash, unfortunately, is the Michael Chiesa fucking going out his way at home. Whether he wins, lose, draws, whatever, you got a last minute replacement in Nico Price. I'm glad Nico stepped up to the plate and Michael accepted. To be fair, you're saving the guy the ability to retire at home, win, lose, or draw. Would I like to see Michael get a win at home and lay him down after a win? Fuck yeah. That's the way you want to see a lot of good fighters go out. And to be fair, Michael has been a good fighter throughout his UFC career. And he was never going to see the title, but he came close a couple times to where he had a chance in him. So will he make the Hall of Fame? Not necessarily, but we're going to hear and see a lot of Michael Chiesa because he's still going to be working the desk or doing interviews and things like that. I mean, the dude's a great ambassador to the sport, period. The co-main event in Alexa Grasso and Macy Barber. Another fight I have to throw in the trash. This is a rehash of a previous fight where Grasso did beat Barber. However, Grasso has indeed looked like shit lately. Like, after getting her shit kicked in and not being able to retain the title, that's kind of I think she's kind of given up on herself. She's opening the door for Macy to get the W back. The problem with that is it opens up a fucking trilogy. And it's a trilogy nobody wants. Look, as much as I like Macy being from Wisconsin, I can't back her either. This is a no-win situation for me. Are there times where I find myself rooting for her because I've seen the gruesome injury she had when she fought fucking Modafferi back in the day? Yeah, because you love the comeback story of somebody getting injured and coming back and doing well. And to be fair, since she's come back from that injury, she's been on quite the tear. Mostly decisions, but she did have that really nice knockout 2 fights ago. So you got to give credit where credit is due there. Another one I'm throwing in the can is the main event. Purely because Joe Pfeiffer is involved. Fuck that dude. Fuck him 100%. I really hope Israel Adesanya just beats the ever-living brakes off of him, and we don't have to hear it again. This could be a contender fight for Israel Adesanya. If Pfeiffer wins, my previous statement remains trash cannon. There's no world that I want to continue to see Pfeiffer climbing the ranks. I really don't. There's something about that dude that just rubs me the wrong way, and I am not sure what it is. And maybe it's because of the amount of rocket booster they tried to stick up his ass to push him forward so quickly. when I know there was other fighters that were on the roster that were way more deserving than him. But UFC's in the UFC. Not saying it's going to be a bad bout, but it's just I don't like Joe Pyfer. I'll say it. Fuck Joe Pyfer. Period. Izzy all day. Come back to greatness, kid. Come back to greatness. That's all I got.
So first and foremost, fuck Joe Pyfer. Fuck Joe Pyfer. Fuck Joe Pyfer. Fuck Joe Pyfer. He should not be in the UFC to even be getting the amount of Dana White privilege that he is getting poured the fuck all over him, despite proving that he is exactly the can that we have all said that he has been every fucking time he goes out there. That being said, there is some interesting stuff on this card. I absolutely agree. I think the Ricky Simone versus Adrian Yanez fight should be a loser leaves town match. Both of them came into the UFC with such high fucking potential, and both of them have tripped over their dick and stomped on it so many fucking times since then. I'm done seeing both of them get chances. At one point, I was a big fan of both of them, and then both of them have essentially gone to autopilot. And when you get to that point in combat sports, you need to fucking stop because it's not going to get better. That's where both of these gentlemen are right now. So I genuinely believe whichever one of these gentlemen loses, and if it's a boring fucking draw, cut them both. But one of these two gentlemen should be coming off the UFC roster after a loss this weekend. I agree. Navajo Sterling versus Bruno Lopez could be really fucking fun. That's another one, though. Those guys are both such young, really untested prospects. That one also, in my opinion, does still have a chance to be a 15-minute picture-taking fest where they're just staring at each other, MVP Sam Patterson style. I hope I'm wrong. I say this all the time. I don't say these predictions or I don't give my opinion thinking that I'm a fucking end-all, be-all, know-it-all here. I'm almost more happy to be wrong in a situation like this, but I have a feeling this one could be one of those, well, they could both go to a decision kind of matches. Chase Hooper versus Lance Gibson Jr. is extremely interesting to me. We've seen that Chase Hooper has been working on his striking, which he needed to. He absolutely fucking needed to. The issue is, we saw last time out that Chase Hooper has also had a little bit of that situation we've seen in a lot of wrestlers before. When wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys start to learn striking and start to get pretty good at it in the gym, they start to over-rely on it in the fights. And we say it all the time. Dance with the gal that brought you. Yes, learn new skills. Yes, round out your game. Yes, adapt and become better as a whole. But you cannot abandon the reason that you got here. And that reason was because you were one of the youngest stranglers the UFC had signed in a long fucking time. And Lance Gibson Jr. is Julia Budd and Lance Gibson's son. They are both MMA fighters. They are both very strong strikers, both of whom have very bad ground games. Lance Gibson Jr. did some damn good work in PFL and Bellator when he fought against people who stayed on the feet. The reason he has problems is because he, like his mother and father, does not have a ground game. And they gave him Chase fucking Hooper. If Chase Hooper knows what he's doing and listens to his coaches here and lets his striking set up his wrestling and jiu-jitsu, he could have a great matchup this weekend. But on the other hand, if we see the same Chase Hooper come out this time in love with his hands, forgetting how to fucking wrestle that we saw get knocked the fuck out last time, I'm telling you now, Lance Gibson Jr. will put one on his fucking chin and leave Chase Hooper staring at fucking rafters. I'm very curious to see which way that's going to play out because there's genuinely a 50-50 chance, in my opinion, that could go either way. If Chase comes out in love with his hands again, Lance will give him that fucking business. If Chase remembers how to fucking wrestle, he could have his fucking way with Lance Gibson. We'll see how that one shakes loose. I'm not as convinced on Bahamondes versus Tafik Musayev. That's another one for me, very similar to the Navajo Sterling versus Bruno Lopez. Yes, this could be very exciting, but both of these guys, in terms of UFC experience, are both a little low on the totem here. And especially considering Musayev had a rough go of things last time out, this one could be fun, but this one could also be another 15 minutes of God damn it, is it over yet? I hope I'm wrong, but I'm getting a kind of fucking feeling that this one might be a long one as well. T-Rex versus Kyle Nelson is going to be a fucking car crash as long as it lasts. We say it all the time. We fucking love T-Rex because he is a with your shield or on it motherfucker. Whether his fight lasts 6 minutes or 6 seconds, he's either going to kill that fucking dude or they are going to kill him. There's not a lot of gray area in Terrence McKinney fight. Kyle Nelson, for all of his shortcomings, is very much the same. He is also one of those, he's going to get in there and put the pedal to the fucking floor until the motor blows or he runs out of gas. It could be a very, very exciting fight for as long as it lasts, because neither one of these gentlemen like to go backwards or stop. So I am convinced T-Rex versus Kyle Nelson, for as long as it lasts, could be interesting. I don't understand why Julian Erosa versus Larry Ann Douglas is on the main card. I know the UFC wants to, kind of showcase Douglas bringing in all these LFA fighters lately, which is a very smart move. They want to show that these guys coming in from the smaller organizations can handle their own. Julian Erosa is not a world breaker by any stretch of the imagination. That man's never going to be able to smell the belt. But he is a very competent journeyman. He can hold his own against other guys at that mid-level. So this, as much as it might not be an exciting fight, is a good matchup. I just don't feel like it's the kind of matchup we need on the main card with, fights like T-Rex versus Kyle Nelson right there next to it. Chiesa versus Nico Price has to be on the main card. It fucking has to. Props to Nico Price for stepping up on short notice and taking this fight so that Chiesa can retire at home, because Michael Chiesa, whether you love him or hate him, has absolutely earned the right to retire at home. He deserves that, if nothing else. He deserves the right to compete in front of his home crowd one last time before he hangs it up. Go on, dog. Go lay down. Is the fight going to be exciting? I don't think it is. Nico Price, to his credit, is very much a with his shielder on it kind of dude, but he's kind of sloppy. Nico Price is not the most focused, doesn't have the greatest in-fight IQ. He's always got crazy shit up his sleeve, but the interesting part there is that so does Chiesa. Chiesa might not be, the fastest guy on the roster now that he's getting a little up there in age, but he's got a well-rounded skill set. So this could be an interesting fight. I don't think it could be the most exciting fight, though. But either way, this isn't here to be an exciting fight. It's here to be Chiesa's last go-around. So I'm going to watch it either way. This co-main and main combination is fucking infuriating to me because it's the same fight gender swapped. Macy Barber has had the UFC promotion machine crammed square up her ass and the rockets lit since she fucking signed with the UFC. Alexa Grasso, to her credit, might not be the best in the world, but she held that belt for a minute and she has done some good work. This is a situation where the UFC is quite literally taking two undeserving prospects and giving them two valid names that if they get a win in both situations, they are going to be in the top conversation, deservedly or not. If Macy Barber can beat Alexa Grasso, get the win back, and now having Grasso been a former champion, that's going to put Barber in the top 5, and she's going to be even more unsufferable than she already fucking is. The same exact thing is happening potentially in the main event. Joe Pyfer does not in any way, shape, or fucking form deserve the amount of credit that he has gotten in the UFC. He does not deserve this fucking matchup. He does not deserve this opportunity, but the UFC is going to UFC. And they clearly have been trying to get Israel Adesanya out of the picture for a long time because he won't play ball the way that they like to play ball. And Joe Pyfer is more than happy to be a fucking UFC yes man. So they are very clearly here trying to put two younger blood people in a situation they don't deserve to be with two bigger fucking names that shouldn't have to fight down in either situation this far, in my opinion. The difference is that I think at least the main event could be interesting. I don't see anything good coming out of Barber versus Grasso. I think that's going to be a 15-minute blanket fest going back and forth with Macy swinging at air until they get to the ground. But at least I think in the main event, Izzy, I think Chris is right, is going to give Joe Pyfer the fucking business, because Pyfer is not good. He is not well rounded. He's got a little bit of a wrestling background and some winging fucking wide shots that he throws all the fucking time. That's the kind of shit that Israel Adesanya lives for. That's the kind of shit that he feeds on for the counter-striking Izzy that we have seen. So I agree with the tiniest bit of Vinny that, yes, Israel Adesanya is absolutely older and he is on his way out the door, but he ain't fucking there yet. And I don't think a little shit like Joe Pyfer is going to push him there. So I'm hoping that we get the Izzy of old back, at least for 25 minutes this weekend, to shut Joe Pyfer the fuck up, because, again, fuck Joe Pyfer.
Appreciate you, boys. Like you guys touch on, like I tried to touch on, hopefully this weekend turns out to be a fucking good one. Here in a couple weeks, once we get to Miami, it'll definitely be a good one. So
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So that will bring us to the point in the show that one segment requires its own individual disclaimer, if you will. Tapology.com in no way, shape, or form supports, sponsors, or endorses the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology does give you the option to go onto their website, create a free account, and make fantasy-style MMA picks like we do right here on the show. They even let you make groups, so we made one. It's called I'm No Bookie, all one word, or Group 965. However you need to find it, the group is open to the public. You are welcome and encouraged. Make yourself an account, let us know who you are, and we will hold your picks accountable with ours in the segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
I want to open up with something very interesting this week. Since we're talking about the UFC London card last week with Avoyev and fucking Murphy. First and second, and last and second to last, were both separated by 15 points. Now, to be fair, everyone did fantastically as far as the picks were concerned, minus last place. So I'm going to start there because there's a little bit of hilarity to this to me. Don, our good friend, he has two accounts because he's old and can't figure out how to sign into one and then to the other from between his phone and his computer. Get it? We're glad he makes picks. Love him. Don's my fucking guy. He managed to take last place and second to last place on his two accounts individually because he puts his picks in, doesn't remember what he did, so he puts them in again, and they're generally a little different. So I don't know if maybe he listened to an extra podcast in there, switched his mind on something or another, but when you eat it twice in the same week, Don, I think you need to start copying off your wife's homework. Love you, buddy. But that is what it is. You trip over your dick twice and then run it over with the steamroller in the process when you hit last place twice like that. Oh, there was a fight for the top spot between myself and the meter. The meter squeaked her out by 15 fucking points. Kudos. Pat on the back. Well fought victory. You know what the best part of this was?
That was a fucking battle. The entire fucking card. We were literally going back and forth by like 25-point increments the whole goddamn card.
You know the best part of that is? I forgot it was in fucking Europe. So all I caught was the last two rounds of the main event. I went, oh, hey. Fucking fights are on because I think I tuned in, it was at like 4:30-ish. And by then it was fucking over. I'm like, ugh. Well, screw the pooch there.
Yeah, we were talking about that in the Zoom watch along that we did. Like, okay, so now what the fuck do we do? Because it's 5:30 in the afternoon and all of the fights are done. This is when they normally start. I don't know what to do with my fucking hands.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with myself at that point. I was like, well, I guess I'll just go do something else. I'll go play video games. Oh, yeah. If you're not a member of Tapology, go join it, you cheapskate bastards. I know you're cheapskate bastards because you're listening to us, watching us, or listening to us on your audio platform of choice a week from now for free. So we don't charge anything for this. But if we were to charge something, it would be on a donation voluntary basis. You know, maybe something similar to, I don't know, maybe a Patreon. Might be listed down below. But yeah, it's fucking free. Come sign up. Join us, Group 965. I'm no bookie, however, you gotta find us. Absolutely free to join. Fun to play. Look, we're not winning money off this. It's not a gambling site. It's for shits and giggles and, well, bragging rights. That's it. That's the reason why we do it. Bragging rights, talk a little bit of shit, have a little fun. And to be honest, it puts a little skin in the game for fights that, yeah, some weeks they're not that great, but you still got some skin in the game, so you want to watch and see how you did. It gives you that extra reason to go check it out. Now, I do want to mention because Donna was in the middle of the pack this week, we all made a slight move towards her. And I say slightest at the big. She still had a good week. So right now where we're sitting at as far as the Spring Grand Prix, Donna is still sitting in the number one spot at 3,320 points. I'm sitting 305 points behind her in second spot at 3,015. The meter did make his catch up by 15 points. So he's at 2,970. Christian taking up that 4 spot. Don taking up the 5 spot, even though he shit the bed twice this week. And Vindog sitting in the number 6 spot. There is 3 weeks remaining. So not a whole lot of room to catch up. All I can say is if you're sitting down towards the bottom, you better make like a hot dog and catch up because that's the only chance you got right now is to make 3 great weeks and prey on Donna's downfall because that's the only way it's going to happen. The way she's been picking, which is solidly because she picked 11 or 10 of 13 correct this week. So she wasn't far off the lead because the meter and I were 11 of 13. So we really got to prey on her downfall. You hate to do it, but if you want that top spot for bragging rights for the next one, that's what we got to do. That's all we got as far as Tapology is concerned this week. So again, come join us. It's worth it. It's a good time. Like I said, no money on the line, just bragging rights. See how you stack up against us. It makes for a good time. I'm gonna make this very short and sweet as far as our odds are concerned this week. We're going to use Caesars, and I'm only going to touch on a handful of them because for the most part is a whole lot of coin flips, but there are a few wider odds. So we're going to hit those right off the get-go here. Julian Erosa and Lorraine Douglas. Douglas a minus 350 favorite over Julian Erosa. Not surprised where Julian Rosa is a plus 275 underdog. It makes sense. One of our wider odds on the card, I know I'm doing these out of the order I normally would, but the site I'm using kind of has them broke up for some odd reason on a couple different pages, so I'm just doing them in the pages order that I've got them. I'm gonna hit the Michael Chiesa and the late notice Nico Price. Michael Chiesa, a minus 850 favorite at home. Nico Price coming in as a plus 575 underdog. It's a pretty wide odds there. Not to be outdone, There is some other bigger, wider odds on the cards here, but we're gonna hit one other one in the mix here, and that is gonna be the Chase Hooper, Lance Gibson Jr. Chase Hooper's coming in as a minus 300 favorite. He's getting that fucking home home turf advantage as far as the betting are concerned. Lance Gibson Jr. a plus 240 underdog. Um, with the exact same odds as that fight, you've got Ignacio Bahamondes being the favorite and Tariq Messiah being the underdog. That's the exact same odds as the Chase Hooper Lance Gibson, so I'm not going to repeat them. Another one of the wider odds here, Bruno Lopez and Navajo Sterling. They're still pretty high on Navajo Sterling, apparently, because he's coming in as a minus 650 favorite. Bruno Lopez, a plus 460 underdog. Kind of crazy considering how much Lopez has taken this decision, and we know Bruno Lopez is going to go out there and swing and bang. So, another large, wide odds here on the card. I didn't want to talk about it, but it is one of the women's fights. Alexia Tarana, or however the hell you say her name, Tainara, and Bruno
Tianara.
Brasil. Bruno Brasil coming in as a plus 550 underdog. Alexia, a minus 800 favorite. So yeah, there's some wider odds on the card here. And now, just as per usual, we're gonna give you the old co-main and main, because they're pretty coin flippy. Alexa Grasso, Macy Barber. Macy Barber coming in as a minus 190 favorite. Alexa Grasso plus 160. Who cares? Moving on. Main event. Israel Adesanya, Joe Pyfer. Pyfer, a plus 125 underdog to a minus 150 favorite in Israel Adesanya. They've got him as coin flippy. I really hope that's not the case in the way that those work out, but odds makers are going to odds make. And as per usual, I'm not a bookie. I will not take your bets. If you are going to gamble, gamble responsibly. However, if you bet the house and win a ridiculous amount of money, maybe because something we said or just during the show gave you the idea, feel free to join the Patreon. And if you're feeling really giddy, my PayPal link is down below if I'm not mistaken. That's all I got for you guys this week. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you very much, sir. Always appreciated. Yeah, that is going to do it for the show this week. First and foremost, if you are new to the show, welcome. We try and do this show pretty much every Thursday when there are fights to talk about. We go live just about every Thursday night around 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on both youtube.com/@I'mNoJoe and dual stream to twitch.tv/I'mNoJoe. We put the videos up there on both places. I do need to make a point to mention because I keep forgetting the I'm No Joe channel is 100% human powered. There is zero AI used in the development, production, and writing of this show. This is all done by us real people. So if you appreciate that, first and foremost, please subscribe to the channel. We would appreciate that. If you like what we do around here, give us a thumbs up and make sure you turn your notifications on so you don't miss any of those episodes. Like I said, we do this pretty much every Thursday here on YouTube and over on Twitch. But if you miss us, we do leave the replays up live on both platforms. If you miss us on purpose, we understand that as well because we too own mirrors. And for that exact reason, the week after we go live here on YouTube and Twitch, we put the all audio version of the podcast up on anchor.fm/I'mNoJoe. Get that through your podcast consumption platform of choice, Google, Spotify, Apple, whatever you use to listen to shit. You can catch us there just the same for free as well. If you really like what we get up to around here, TJ mentioned it earlier, patreon.com/I'mNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month as much as you are comfortable giving, any level of patronage helps us do what we do around here. And in exchange for your patronage at any level, first and foremost, we put your name at the end of every broadcast on the channel so everyone can see how fucking awesome you are. But more than that, every level of patronage gets exclusive access to the unaired and unairable content. All the stuff that got us kicked off of OnlyFans as a podcast is up there for our patrons, as well as Patreon exclusive content, shit that we make just for you guys that help us do this only goes over to Patreon. So if you like what we do around here, it's worth your time to help us do it. We give a little bit back to you. That being said, on the other side of that coin, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast that you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself, because we ain't even going to dispute it. That being said, when we wrap things up around here Thursday night, that is not the end of the fun, because Friday morning, pretty much every Friday morning, this gentleman and his partner drop their podcast, the Slow Bacon Contemplate podcast, over on Spreaker.com. You can catch the link to their podcast, all of their socials, as well as their very own channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server, all down in the description, whether you are watching or listening to this. Click on it. Tell them how fucking awesome they're doing.
Appreciate you, brother. And like the brother golf team mentioned at the start of it, there's still some time left. Pull some shekels out, throw those shekels at them, help them get some bikes for some kids. It's not too late. And throw some love to the brother, of course, not just for the helping out children and families in need with that situation, but with everything else that he always has going on. May not consistently stream anymore, but there's no reason to not follow the brother, show him some love. Everything he's got going, down in the description. And like you mentioned, yeah, damn sure if you hit a lick on some bets that he called, throw him some shekels on that too.
We appreciate it. Now, since there is a lot of days in the week, and I don't stream on Wednesdays anymore, you're going to have a lot of extra downtime. The meter does many things. In fact, you can find all the many things that the meter does do by going down below and clicking on Linktree / the meter does many things, Linktree / I'm No Joe. It'll take you to each and every one of the many things that the meter does do. And who knows? Maybe you too can go up in smoke. Have a good time with it. You'll enjoy yourself. Money back guaranteed. And I say that because it's fucking free. And you guys aren't a member of the Patreon yet. Join the fucking Patreon. Join Tapology. Tapology is free. If you want to keep being free, be free. We're perfectly all right with that. We do this for the love, not for the money. If that was the case, I would have quit a long fucking time ago, because the salary sucks. But go check out his stuff. Enjoy it. It's worth your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Yeah, if you find yourself a fan of the Devil's Lettuce, Satan's Jazz Cabbage, whatever you need to call it, definitely click on the other link, because it's my birthday month and I've dropped a whole bunch of shit over on that channel this month, and there's still a little more to come before we hit the end of the month. So if that is your cup of tea, definitely hit that link. If you're just here for the punchy kicky, I understand, and I am totally cool with that as well. Hit the I'm No Joe link down at the bottom. It will take you to everything that has to do with I'm No Joe that you need to find out about. That being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh.